Couple quick announcement-rooskies here at the top of this video. Number one, shameless plug, as is customary now. Link to the Motown Noah Discord will be in the description. A lot of incredible friendships have been blossoming in there. Some real sickos in there. Second thing, Motown Noah Patreon is also officially live. The link to that will also be in the description. One singular tier for $5. Whether you are or not able to support, you guys know how this goes. I just sincerely appreciate that you guys watch my videos at all. So thank you very, very much. What you can expect on the Patreon, I have a 5-minute video that's on there. One that I recorded back in September and never uploaded to YouTube, because I was like, I just don't think this is going to scratch the itch for people. I do think it's funny, but it's just kind of, I'll let you go figure it out. Additionally, some early access stuff, some unreleased bits that I just never really found a place for. And as a little like, ooh, what's that going to be about? I got a little excited and a little ahead of myself, and I'm like kind of chalking Milwaukee to win a championship this year. So in celebration of that, I started to record the song that I'm going to release for when and if they do win a championship this year. The demo to that song is available on the Patreon. It has been a while since I've made a Pistons video. I figured as a little treat, if nothing else, that's kind of what we deserve right now as Pistons fans. We deserve a little Motown Noah video where we talk about James Wiseman, the sort of new addition to the team that I haven't had a chance to kind of give my spiel about yet. And if we rewind the clock just about a month ago to when the Saddiq Bey trade happened. Most of the fan base was pissed. Like, most of us were really upset, and I think for good reason. There were a few reasons for this. None of them had to do with James Wiseman, though. It was always more about the principle that you traded Saddiq Bey, and it was always more about the principle that, again, not that you brought in James Wiseman, but that Isaiah Stewart had been playing really well for the last 2.5 years. You just drafted Jalen Duren, and that's going way better than anybody expected it to go in year one as an 18/19-year-old. Additionally, a calendar year ago, you traded for Marvin Bagley and then subsequently signed him to a 3-year contract last summer. Then there's also the Nerlens Noel piece, which now we can look back on and be like, well, you bought him out, so that doesn't really matter. But then if you want to take it a step further, this is also a team that's hoping to land Victor Wembanyama. So it just kind of felt like adding another big into the mix wasn't really what we should be doing. And yeah, even if that big is James Wiseman, it's kind of like, okay, yeah, one man's trash is another man's treasure. We've known for a while that, Troy Weaver, the year that James Wiseman was drafted, James Wiseman was number 1 on Troy's board. He was like, nah, dude, that's number 1. So we've known that there's been this connection or this infatuation, if you will. And if there's anything we know about Troy Weaver as the Pistons general manager, if there's a guy that he likes, that's who the Pistons are going to go after. If there's a report that comes out that Troy Weaver kind of likes this guy, within 6 months, he's going to be on your basketball team. I swear to God. Check the tape. So this is why I think there's credence to the idea that, could Karis LeVert be a sneaky good option to sign with Detroit this summer? I don't know. That's for a separate video. But the Wiseman experience very quickly evolved into this, holy shit. It's not that I don't miss Saddiq Bey, and it's not that I'm not still, in the back of my head a little bit upset about that, but James Wiseman! Whoa! I think when James Wiseman, originally got traded, there's always this tendency, especially in the NBA, when guys get traded, their first game or two, the coach just kind of throws them out there, and they're like, go get shots up, go crash the boards, just go crazy. We're not going to run too many design plays for you. We're not going to get you involved in too many specific actions. We're going to give you some time to just kind of feel it out, right? Just go out there and have fun. And that's just kind of been how he's been rolling ever since. He's just going out there and attacking the glass and just giving dudes insane buckets. He'll attack you from 5. He'll attack you from 25. He'll pull up from the elbow. And it's just refreshing to see him doing things other than being sent out there like he was in Golden State as a body to just facilitate dribble handoffs at the top of the key and then watching Steph and Jordan Poole run around, and then that's kind of it. I love watching him get involved in two-man stuff, whether it's with Bogdanovich or whether it's with Jaden Ivey. And that's the thing that sucks is Cade's not out there, right? We have to wait another 6 months before we can actually see Cade Cunningham play with this guy. The Pistons the other night started James Wiseman and Marvin Bagley at the same time, which was the first time that the Pistons have started two guys over 6'10" in their front court since Blake and Andre. And while that wasn't that long ago, in terms of like where the Pistons are at culturally, it does feel like that was a whole different era, bro. Like, I don't even know, like, what is that even? Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond. Now, I'm not disparaging Blake Griffin because he's literally one of my favorite Pistons of all time, despite only playing for like 2.5 seasons with us. So this is not against Blake Griffin by any stretch of the imagination. But like, if you would have told me a year ago, even if you're not a Pistons fan, imagine hearing a year and a half ago that in a year and a half, James Wiseman and Marvin Bagley are going to be starting on your team. So your brain just goes to, oh, so we're just like the de facto, whatever top draft picks haven't worked out. Come to Detroit. We'll give them a shot. And guess what? It works. Like every single like flyer that we've taken, it works. The exception is what? The Josh Jackson thing. It's not that didn't work. He was just like fine. And to go a little bit more into specifics about why the Wiseman thing excites me so much is because, you know, you look at a team like Golden State and you think to yourself, championship teams do not have time to polish these young players. They don't have time to develop these new guys and prop them up into being what they are aspiring to be or what they're being touted as. So when you draft a guy like James Wiseman in a down year and then immediately, 2 years down the line, you're not just in the finals playing in June, but you are literally winning a championship. Like, you just don't have time for a guy like James Wiseman. And that's the sentiment that Steph was expressing after the trade had happened. And I will maintain that I feel like James Wiseman was just kind of set up to fail in Golden State. And it's through no fault of really anybody's, because if anybody was on his side, it was Joe Lacob, and that's a guy who you want on your side, right, is the team owner. And that's why he goes out and he talks the other day about, I think that's a trade that one day we could come to regret, is that James Wiseman trade. I think we could look back and be like, damn, maybe we shouldn't have done that. When I hear something like that, my brain just kind of thinks two things. One, that's just owner speak. That's just an owner being diplomatic and, saying nice things about a guy that he used to cut checks for. And we see that all the time. It's just, really hope the best for him. But behind closed doors, they're like, God, that guy fucking sucks. I don't think that's the case here, because the second part to this is like, what we do know about Joe Lacob is he was one of the only voices in that Warriors building who was like, I actually don't think we should do this. I actually think we should hang on to James Wiseman. And then guys like Bob Myers and probably Steve Kerr and fucking Draymond were like, no, get him out. And the only reason I single out guys like Steve Kerr and Draymond Green, and the same reason I say that I think he was set up to fail, was because wasn't it during James Wiseman's rookie year that both of those guys publicly, after like a post game or a practice or something, looked at LaMelo Ball and were like, we probably should have drafted him. Probably should have drafted LaMelo Ball over James Wiseman. What the hell are you doing? Like, what are you doing that's productive in a situation like this? Because the other thing that sucks about James Wiseman, or not about James Wiseman, rather about the situation that he was in Oakland, was that like, he was either with Santa Cruz or he was hurt. And he was always with Santa Cruz because he was rehabilitating from when he was hurt. So like, and that's why I find it so encouraging that, so many dudes in that organization and especially around the Warriors fan base are genuinely like, dude, he was born into a bad situation and he was set up to fail. And here's the thing about him is he's kind of had a weird career. Just in the sense that like, when he was at Memphis, because he would, lighting it up on like the AAU circuits, and then he goes to Memphis, and then he only play like 2 games, then he gets hurt and he doesn't play at all. So really the only tape that you're going off of when he's in the draft is what he was doing in like AAU, and if he played on the EYBL circuit, I have no idea. But I think of a guy like Shaedon Sharpe, right, who did play on the EYBL circuit and who like should have gone to Kentucky, and then John Calipari was like, I don't know where he is. I don't know where Shaedon Sharpe is. I guess he's not coming. You guys probably shouldn't expect that he's going to walk through the door. Did we ever get clarification on that? He just didn't do anything. He didn't go to college. And then when he was in, private workouts or at the combine, and scouts were like, we don't even know why Shaedon Sharpe is here. Like, he's not doing anything. He's not showing us anything. He's not doing any workouts that are actually conducive to the NBA experience or what we want to see from an NBA product. And that's why I was really low on him. And it wasn't the same case with James Wiseman, because I was just like, that's just a physical freak of nature right there. And we've seen concrete, like, okay, this guy can play at the next level, right? But with Shaedon Sharpe, it was weird because we had to go off of tape for when he was like 17. And then the difference is like, Well, I can't say the Warriors didn't nail the Wiseman pick because they technically did, because as we can see now, James Wiseman is playing more freely and whatever. But the Shaedon Sharpe thing is just, I don't know why I'm even fucking talking about Shaedon Sharpe. How did I get here? He's one of those guys that you look at the Blazers at the time that they drafted him, and I was like, idiots. You guys are literally the stupidest team in the world. Sometimes you just got to wear it on your chest, right? You got to put a hand up and say, I was wrong. I was wrong about this, objectively. Because Shaedon Sharpe is so good. He's so good. He's so fun to watch. So explosive. Kills every single dude at the rim. Awesome. I was wrong about that 100%. Oh, I was doing the Shaedon Sharpe thing because they both didn't really have a college experience, and we just kind of had to go off of this idea that, like, they're probably going to be special. And you know who is special? Is James Wiseman. There's some untapped mobility in there. You know, like I said, you get that dude on the pick and roll. Work on that pick and pop. I swear to God, people are going to, like, there's going to be a day where people forget about James Wiseman on that little pop. The same way that they still do with Brook Lopez somehow, right? Like, Brook Lopez has been doing the same thing where he just kind of, like, he tiptoes backwards, like, to the three-point line, and then Drew Holiday does the hoo-ha! And then that Splash Mountain, that shit's cash every single time. Brook Lopez has been doing that for 10 years, and NBA defenses still can't figure it out. In an ideal world, like, maybe that happens to James Wiseman one day. But just for the sake of it, like, you know, this offseason is going to be really weird. Can I do a quick Victor Wembanyama spiel for 2 seconds? This increasingly potent theory that I've had over the last few years that positions are no longer real, like, for the sake of argument, what are you putting Victor Wembanyama on All-NBA, right? And if you don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, even though if I'm led to believe that he's going to be awesome, right, which we all like to think that he will make an All-NBA team at some point in his career. If you want to lessen it to All-Rookie, because that feels more like a sure thing, what position are you putting him at? Are you putting him as a 5? Because I know dudes who put him as a 4. I know dudes who put him at a 3. I know some of you guys want to put him at the 1. Don't do that. I might call you an idiot if you do that. You know what I mean? Like, what is this even? How do you even quantify? How do you limit that guy to a single position just for this? And if you're doing it just for the sake of we have to put him somewhere, let's just put him here, then that just adds validity to the theory that these positions aren't real. Because the odds are that a lot of the other dudes that are going to be on those 2 all-rookie teams are also probably tremendously fluid in the way that they play basketball. So what are we really talking about? And the Pistons have a lot of those guys too, because I'd argue that Marvin Bagley can play the 4 and he can play the 5. Isaiah Stewart can play the 4 and can play the 5. I'd prefer him to just play the 4 though, right? James Wiseman can do both. You want to add another guy to the mix that can play both? I mean, I guess. We as fans have just been embracing the absolute friggin' balls out of James Wiseman. Pause. I'm leaving that in, actually. That's how we're ending the video.